Do I gotta look like I'm driving?
Yeah, you should.
That's the picture. We're done. We don't have to do the picture.
An ideal assessment is situational. It's dependent upon the learning environment. It's dependent upon the students. It's dependent upon whether or not the teacher is capable of differentiating and meeting student needs. So an ideal assessment would probably be something that not only assesses whether or not the student maintained their learning target or met the learning targets and their learning goals, but also whether the teacher provided adequate instruction in order to help them meet those goals.
Students learn in different ways, and you could give a writing assessment to a student who is not a good writer or who has fine motor issues. It really depends on the best way that the students are able to demonstrate their understanding. If they sing it, if they rap it, if they draw it, if they skit it. I mean, it's the nature of what we do. We assess them, or we watch them, and then we get feedback, and then we tweak what we need to do.
An ideal assessment would take into account universal backward design. So you take that into account before you plan. Well, life is a highway, so it's one continuous journey, and education is, we're trying to build lifelong learners. So I feel like we're still in the beginning of the process. We've gotten out of the driveway. We're heading toward the gas station to fill up because life is a long journey, and we're going to continue on that.
And whether the kids will be able to implement whatever they learn in their class later on in their life or not. So an assessment is something that basically just tells the teacher and the community where the kids are standing. We basically think about what is it that we are trying to teach. So we try to reevaluate ourselves and see, is this the message we want to go across or not? Of course, it's an ongoing process. There's never the perfect final solution. So it's an ongoing process. So we want to make sure that we are assessing the students properly, and we are always finding out where the students stand. So whatever changes that need to be made, we can constantly adjust and tweak.
I feel like the assessment should make them think of it in an authentic way, in some way of like, when would they need to do it in real life? So it should at least pose a situation to where they're like, okay, when would I see this in real life? Then it could test some of the like skills and concepts you would have asked them to gain, so then they would understand when they would use that in a real life situation. I feel like sometimes the math, it's a little more difficult to have different forms of assessment because getting different types of projects and things involved. I would say we're really good at the formative with our homework. That's our formative, where like we can check their homework and they can check it and ask questions. So formative, we're really good. Summative, I think we all have to do the same thing, of where it is just quiz kind of thing. I'm trying to integrate projects, and I'm hearing some good things that we're trying projects, making it more authentic and adding those real life situations.
We believe an ideal assessment is one that every child would show growth, they would show knowledge, and also their motivation. We want them to feel confident, comfortable, and be ready to strive for more, always more. We're driving in the car, we just met each other. Turns out we have the same grandma, so that's been interesting, right? We're getting to know each other. So we're establishing rapport, a relationship. We show that we are valuing the same deep conceptual knowledge, working together as a team.
Yep.
But I think
coming from a place of inquiry and developing positive relationships and cohesiveness amongst each other as a team. For sure, so that we can continue to offer and grow and provide support for our students.
And what is that end goal that you're talking about?
For a curriculum to be in place so that 6th, 7th, and 8th and through high school, that there's assessments in place, that the whole, from beginning of fall until spring, it's set to go, lesson plans are created, you're building upon the knowledge that you have in Atlas, as well as what didn't work and what worked. For the last few years, and getting together as a team on a regular basis.
I would say we are probably more focused on the teacher side of things, and that we need to be looking more at student-centered assessment. I think we're still at the beginning of the journey. I think we need, this is the first time that we've really looked at assessment properly in a kind of a macro level, I guess, to understand what it is and how it can serve us. So I guess in terms of travelling to Grandma's house, we're definitely at the beginning of the journey, but what's happening on this journey is that rather than just driving straight to the destination, we're actually taking time to look out the windows and see all the steps along the way, all the places along the way.
Ideal assessment would be one that has teachers and students on the same page about growth and achievement based on these skills or standards that you're looking for. Well, I think the difficult thing is that so much of the literature now talks about having time to give accurate feedback, and that feedback is a huge component because it's all about trying something, putting a good effort in, and then learning from what you have done. So I think that we're partially there in that we're giving opportunities, but there often isn't enough time to enact change, to give proper feedback. Well, one of the things is an international school where you have so much turnover and different teachers coming in every year, is have some sustainable, reusable assessments that are accurately evaluating the students based on the goals and the skills that
The
they want them
assessment's
to
just
have.
going to show where the student is currently at in their learning. So it should give feedback to the student and feedback to the teacher. The feedback to the student helps them identify gaps in their learning, and the feedback to the teacher helps them identify where they can guide the student to fill those gaps. Science department is working on moving more through supporting the inquiry process more through assessment.
I would say it would begin with sharing success criteria, setting goals for themselves, working towards it, and then finally reflecting on the assessment.
Well, assessment is about, to gather information, to see the students' performance, and the summative at the end of the unit is really important to see the mastery of the unit, of the students.
This is where it would be like towards proficiency or movement towards mastery of a subject. And I think that it can be gathered in multiple ways. I don't think that there's one definitive way that it has to be gathered. So I think that we're doing well. We are, I guess, putting our bags in the trunk. I think that we are, trying to get closer to what we collectively think as a school so that we have a shared understanding. I would like for us to be flexible with our students. Our students are coming with different understandings. They're coming from different places. They're coming with different foundational knowledge, some different languages. And so they all may not be able to produce mastery or provide answers in one common way. And I think that we just have to be flexible. I'm a learning support teacher, and that's something that I try to do daily with my students, is be flexible in them allowing me to see their proficiency and their growth in multiple areas. So I think collectively we could move.
I think an ongoing conversation that really doesn't stop, and not so discrete, but more of a continuous assessment that isn't one thing. Sometimes things click and we can assess really well. Sometimes we miss things and have to reassess later. I like to have that conversation with students. I like conferencing. Oh, it's good.
What do you think would be an ideal assessment?
An ideal assessment. Okay, depends on the situation, sir. It's an ongoing process. And you need to be flexible, and then you have to do a variety of them, and it's just in the spirit of feedback.
Grandma's house. Where do you think this team is along that journey from home to Grandma's house?
My grandma's dead. Thank you for that, Ryan. She's been dead for a long time. No. Go on, where are we, guys? Where are we in this process?
The car started.
The car started. Curriculum. When you feel dumb, have an assessment done. Is it formative? Is it summative? Which one? It all depends. You got it. That was great.
I'm going home, right? We're almost at Grandma's house. We can smell the turkey cooking. Yeah, yeah. We might get a flat tire on the way, but we can fix it.
Well, where am I at? I've left the house. I'm on my way to Grandma's. Where are we at? We're somewhere in between. We definitely have started, but the idea is that the destination is still the same. We're just trying to get the best pathway to get there. And like I said, I'm driving a bus, not a car, so everyone's on board, and I'm hoping they can help direct me.